I do apologize. I've changed everything in my studio over the last couple of, I don't know. It's been about a week. I've been working on this, and so I've ripped up everything here. I'll give you a sneak peek of what's going on up here. But I changed everything. I have this crazy ultra wide monitor now. I have I'm using a Wave XLR now. I'm using a different Stream Deck. I'm no longer using Go XLR. Just a ton of changes, and then I actually have a monitor up there, so it's been pretty crazy. And so part of that was actually redoing all of the wires too. So I probably have at least a mile of wires in here, at least a mile, and yeah, it's been wild. I don't know. So I tore out all of the wires in here, and then I replaced them all with mostly the same wires, but I found a whole bunch of wires that weren't even connected. I think I found 6 HDMI cables throughout my room that were just plugged into nothing. And so I have about 13 HDMI cables, all the same length, not being used. You know how it goes. You buy cables because you can't find cables or you think you're out of cables. And then before you know it, you find where they're all at. So anyways, I've been changing a lot in here. I've been changing a lot back there. Things hopefully are kind of starting to work. We'll see. So the audio piece is interesting too, because yeah, I switched to a Wave XLR, which in itself shouldn't be a problem, but I'm also running this on my Mac. So that's just like a whole nother long list of issues that I don't even want to like begin to think about. So anyways, a lot going on. Hopefully I can get back to like, I don't know, creating content. I just haven't had like any time to do a lot of this because, you know, if I'm tearing this up, I'm not making content. Anyways, how's everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. I do apologize for the intro, the crazy intro, the weird distortion of the voice, and for the music not working. I know it's still not working, and I got to figure that out. Next time, I'm gonna create maybe a test Twitch account and stream and listen to it myself. That probably would have saved all of this. So, anyways, yeah, happy Saturday. Welcome to the stream. If you're new to the stream, welcome. It doesn't usually go like that. I mean, there are some hiccups every now and then, but it's usually not that bad. So I apologize. If you're not new to the stream, hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining in on this Saturday. If you have something you want to share, you want to talk about, all related to tech, throw it into chat. And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I know there's probably going to be a lot of chatter about technical difficulties. I deserve it, but man, it was a rough start. Hopefully things hang in there. I'll figure everything out. But yeah, and I'll definitely get into events. Like my whole entire system is new. Like even events, my activity feed, my chat system, all of these scenes recreated on Apple Silicon. It's kind of wild. And the reason why I didn't do it on my Windows machine is because I'm rebuilding that. So it's mostly out of commission. I'm building a new one here soon. I'm rack mounting it. It's going to be in a Sliger rack mountable case, and it's going to be water cooled too, along with my 3090. So I thought, well, instead of like canceling the stream, let's put 5 hours into getting it to work on my Mac, which, as you can see, this is par for the course with Mac. So anyways, let's get into chat. Let's talk about what you're working on. If you have something you want to share, if you have something you're working on, throw it in chat. We'll talk about it. I'll highlight it on the screen too. First, I want to get into a couple of things that happened just before the stream. I'm just going to slide this over here so it looks a little more natural. But let's see. So there were some follows. So hey, thanks for the follow. A fellow chatter, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I got that. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna start from here. Namir, Minka Labs, hey, thanks for the follow and the sub. Appreciate it. Skin Chefy, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. A fellow chatter, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Dude, Trevor. Sup, Tim? Thanks for the sub. It looks like tier 1, 23 months. That's what I'm going with. Sup, Tim, I managed to get my Cisco ISE to alarm into Netcool. I've been integrating a lot of systems into Netcool. Pretty awesome. I know you've been talking about that. Sounds like it's going pretty cool. Love to know more. Holy Merc, hey, Prime, 13 months. Thank you so much. 1 year. 1 year, 1 month. Thank you so much. Takano, hey, how's it going? New camera angle. Yeah, For sure, it's a new camera angle. I'm hoping everything hangs in there for this whole entire stream so I can get stuff going. But yeah, new camera angle, a little bit more flexible. This isn't where it's always going to be. It's only here now because I can't move it right here to point directly at me. I can only put it there until I figure out something else for this monitor and that monitor. I kind of want to squeeze it in between. But yeah, this is a temporary new camera angle. So yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. It feels like I'm streaming again for the first time, except for I have a lot better gear this time. But yeah, this is the biggest change ever to my stream ever since I started, because I redid everything, and as you can see, it's not going so well. So, anyways, hey, I appreciate the continued support, Takano. Thank you so much. Better, hey, thanks for the Prime sub. Prime sub, thank you so much. New Prime sub, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So, yeah, so again, you want to share something, throw it in chat. We'll talk about it. Otherwise, I'm going to talk and ramble about how poorly the beginning of the stream went. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot. Even just going live right here from the beginning, I even learned, like, hey, it'd probably be a good idea if you had a test channel that you can stream to so that you can verify that things work. I've never had that problem. Like, I've had audio problems in the beginning. A couple of clicks later, it works. But I've never had anything like that. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to be able to fix it. I was 10 seconds from canceling this stream. I was actually going to hold up either a piece of paper or a whiteboard and write on the screen while streaming, or type in the chat and say, hey, I'm sorry, but fortunately, it's working. I kind of have an idea what's going on. Kind of have an idea. I think my Wave XLR is having some problems with USB or USB-C or the USB-C to A connection. And I need to verify it because I kind of have some things a little bit rigged up so that I can toggle between my Windows and my Mac. I'm going to be to the point where I can press, I want to say 2 buttons, but one button, and switch all of my hardware that I use over to my Windows machine or Linux machine, all of it back to a Mac without a KVM too. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So let's get into chat. Let's see what you guys are working on, what you're excited about. Let's see. Max Payne Life. Yeah. See, now I have a new pop-up thing. I don't know why the focus keeps going off of me. It's because this microphone. But I have a new chat highlight down here. It actually shows emojis, shows everything now. So I'm super happy I got this set up. I was pretty excited to get that actually working. It's been in my backlog like forever. Like, hey, replace the chat system. Never Fear Boris is here. Hey, how's it going? Max Payne, finally caught you live. Never Fear Boris is here. Oh, that sounds bad. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Sounds like RoboCop underwater. I could hear it because back on my TV monitor back here, I turned it on and I was like, "Whoa, that's bad. That there might not be any coming back from that sound." So it was pretty bad. So, anyways, Sound of Silence. Yeah, it was. Hey, this is Hello Darkness, my old friend. Is that a Pink Floyd reference? I think so. Can't remember. How's it going, Never Fear, Boris? I'm just gonna go with Boris. And the vision of a rat painted in my brain. Yeah, at some point I'm going to switch up the intro videos. They're kind of retro now to a certain extent because they're it's a point in time, those videos of my server rack. But I actually have my other server rack down here. At some point soon, I'm actually going to just do a tour of like the office in here and kind of show you what I'm working with and show you why I decided to rack mount everything. I think it's going to be pretty cool. And maybe I'm not justifying like spending a lot of money to rack stuff, but for me, like keeping my cords in order and labeling everything saves me, I don't know, a couple hours a week. And it's not only just like, hey, a couple hours of tinkering and messing around. It's like a stressful couple hours. Like right now, if I would have had to rewire something, I would have to guess what every wire is and where it goes and trial and error. Now, every single thing has a label in here. I feel like an old person. But it's, I don't know. It's super nice having labels. But yeah, new rack stuff to show to the server god they've made. People writing code, their unit tests never fail. Yeah, right? People writing code, their unit tests never fail. Yeah, I need some unit test, or at least some end-to-end test, or even some QA on my stream because man, I thought I QA'd it perfectly. The only thing I didn't test, I didn't do an end-to-end test, I guess. Because I mean, I was in here check, 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 like for an hour this morning, right before the stream, for an hour last night, testing everything. The only thing I didn't do is actually test stream. So that's high in my backlog, my priorities. Set up a test channel, Techno Tim test, and that's where I'm going to test my streams. I don't know. I shouldn't tell you because if I accidentally kick on the camera with something going on, you guys will see me. Oh, I did. I did add one more other. I did add another thing where you can kind of see what's going on back there. I mean, you can kind of see it's going to be delayed, but you can kind of see how wide this is, and that's a wide angle camera. Like if you think like, hey, my wingspan, my arm span is 6 feet, over 6 feet. You know, that's the monitor right there. It's not 6 feet, but it's pretty wide. And then I have one up here too. And people might be asking like, hey, why do you have this ultra wide? And then you have this one above. The one above is really for like Zoom meetings and for screen recordings and all my tutorials so that, you know, I can have a dedicated 4K screen to record to instead of sharing this crazy screen, trying to chop it up in video. So anyways, yeah, it's got some fun stuff coming. I got some more cameras, more everything, just more everything. And I want to get done. I want to have it totally done this weekend. We'll see. Let me turn that one off because that one's. I guess I could keep it on, but it's a little delayed, so I need to figure that out too. Let's see. I love it how we're entertaining ourselves. Yeah, I apologize. I apologize. We love you, buddy. Thank you. Hola. Knock to a parody pitch. Yeah. I do keep it blurred out just so you kind of like know I'm here as I'm getting ready, and I'm not just like making people wait. It's usually going through the series of tests that you kind of heard me doing live, just making sure everything is going okay. Audio also had him looking like a witness protection. That is true. Yeah, the blurred out scene plus witness protection. I just need like a dark shadow and just talk like this, like, yeah, I knew who he was. I know. Oh man. I deserve it though. I deserve it. Yeah, some dark 60-minute interviews. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call. Revealed too many 45 drive secrets. That is true. That is true. I showed too much inside of the proto case tour. Yeah. But no, jokes aside, 45 drives, they're pretty open on a lot of stuff. They're open on a lot of stuff. Hardware, software, they use open source, they'll use open specs. And they basically say, use our stuff, and if you don't like it, use something else along with it. We don't care. And it's hard to find companies that say that nowadays. Yes, yeah, working. Awesome. I'm glad it got working. Trevor, sup, Tim? I managed to get Cisco ISE to alarm in Netcool. Oh yeah. Oh, was this the sub message? Maybe it was. But I know you put that in your sub message. If this is a sub message, this is awesome because then I can easily get to sub messages this way too. As I'm using all kinds of news systems, virtual, physical, you name it. Voice is good. All right. We have voice. The funny thing is, I haven't been verifying that my voice still works. I haven't been verifying that my voice still works this whole entire time, so I could still sound like RoboCop underwater. The weird thing is, like, so I monitor my audio. I can hear my own voice in my ear. It's a little delayed. Go XLR is 0 delay. This is probably delayed by, I don't know. They say like 25 milliseconds. I'd say it's somewhere in there, to the point where it's almost weird. And so everything sounded great in my monitor. I was like, sweet, good mix, audio, talking's good, sound effects are good. Then I play it, the actual output, not so good. So I don't know. I got to figure that out. That is not sounding like a fun one because most likely it's going to be. It might be something I can't fix, which sucks. To put it frank. With most software things, if it's code I'm familiar with, I can find a fix or fix code. This is not code that I one, have access to, or two, would even understand, because this is pretty low level stuff. So anyways, I don't always test, but when I do it on a live stream. Tell me, it's the most interesting, man. I don't always test my stream, but when I do it live. Totally. Wouldn't have it any other way. I agree. I agree. Assert dominance. There we go. Yeah, check your DNS. Yeah, this time it was not DNS. I don't know. Maybe it was DNS. I'd love to blame it on DNS. I wish it were, because then it'd be an easy fix. I'd just go into Pi-hole or go into Cloudflare and fix it up. Fix it up. Yeah. Hey, is your monitor wide enough? No, it's actually it is. Yeah. It is. It is. Like yeah. So my monitor setup in the past, it's been an evolution. Like I had one 1440p for a while, and I was like, this is great. Then I got two more 1440ps, and two went in portrait mode. One went in landscape mode, and I was like, hey, this is great. And then I realized like having like three monitor arms along with one, two, three, four wires connected to each one generated it was just too much. It was too much to manage. Manage three imagine three monitor arms for three monitors. And then each monitor has, four cables. So that's 3 times 4, 12 cables. And then you got to run all 12 of those cables somewhere else. You got to plug 3 of those into power. And I've been eyeing this Samsung G9. I was actually looking at the previous Samsung G9, not the 57, but the 49. And then I was also eyeing some LG ones ultra wide. And then at the end of the day, I was like, I ended up pre-releasing it because Samsung and Amazon had a $500 gift card if you pre-order. And I was like, you know what, that's and they have a pretty good return policy. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try it out. And there are a lot of things people are scared of or had issues with in previous versions. I haven't found any issues at all. My biggest issue was using cheap HDMI cables. I thought I would cheap out and use some cheap HDMI cables for my Mac, and I ended up seeing tons of artifacting like up here and around the edges for the camera and stuff like that. So anyways, and a lot of flickering. I don't know. That's what happens when I tried to go ultra cheap. So but it's pretty awesome. It takes some getting used to, like an ultra wide. It takes some getting used to. This one has the 1000R curve, whatever that means. I mean, I know there's differences in curve, but this one's great because it's like the monitor distance is it's like equidistant from my head anywhere I look, which is pretty cool, which is more curved than most monitors. So I don't know. I don't have anything to compare it to. I know some people at work have different monitors and they're curved different. And I see them when something's up in the corner, they're leaning and looking up in the corner. But yeah, this is pretty awesome. I'm not used to it yet. I need a better window management system for both Mac and Windows. Both of them kind of okay, kind of okay. But once I start getting stuff in places I like, I want them to always be there. So just like a hodgepodge of stuff right now. But for streaming, this is actually pretty awesome. Like I can see so much like at a glance, like, music, stream. I even have a shell open here to my Raspberry Pi. I have all of my controls to make stuff flash for my Raspberry Pi there because it's not working half the time. Chat, double chat, OBS, activity feed, and I still have, I don't know, some more room. Anyways, it's pretty awesome. So imagine you took two 4K panels, like one 4K monitor, a second 4K monitor, and you put them together. So this is 8K wide, 4K tall, and it's pretty sweet. Well, not 4K tall, but 3480 by 2150. But then the 3480 is times 2. I don't know. It's like 76 something by 24. I don't know. I forget the dimensions, but it's wild. Anyways, I got a lot to get used to and to figure out too. More money, more problems. Yeah, tell me about it. Isn't that the truth? 49-inch here, ultra wides or nothing. Yeah, it's definitely fun to get used to. Walks away Dale with his legs with this 34-inch ultra wide. Yeah, I mean, I got this not because it was like the biggest, baddest monitor out there, because it kind of is right now. I got this for the dimensions in itself because I need something. When I edit, I need super wide, right? I need super wide. But when I'm writing code, I don't need super wide. So I still needed some height for sure. And so I thought, well, if I can dock two windows next to each other and they're both 4K still, that's great. That is great. And so that's kind of what I was going for, is like I wanted, something that divides by 4K evenly. I guess you should say. So I still wanted to maintain my height on the monitor. And like I said, if I put two windows side by side, it's like boom. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. The other thing I learned with ultra wides or with really wide monitors in general, and I've heard people say this, and I'm like, what? It's kind of like you get a third monitor, and it's weird to think about, but like if you have two monitors side by side, and you have the bezel in between, you're never going to be able to put a window there. I mean, yes, you could put a window there, stretch something full screen, but most windows are going to snap one side or the other, and so you're always looking left or right. You're never looking dead on. Once you get an ultra wide, you're like, oh, I can look straight now. I can look, due north, and everything looks good. And so now it's kind of like, okay, so my main, vision is all straight now instead of always turning to the side like this or turning to the side like that. I mean, I've been turning kind of left or right for a long time. I did have 3 monitors. That's how I solved that problem. But when I had 2, it was always kind of left, kind of right, and now it's dead on. So, anyways, it's a lot to learn. All the stuff you guys probably know. You've had ultra wides for a long time. Not me. I'm not me. I'm new to this ultra wide game. I'm just figuring all this stuff out. Let's see. All right, Mike. Migrated my entire company from on-prem AD to Azure and Intune managed. Hold on. Whoa, this is a big one. Migrated my entire company. Oh, it's sweet. So you had Azure, you had Active Directory in your company on-prem, and I assume maybe not Intune, but you had a way of managing them. And then you migrated them to Azure AD. Awesome. And Intune. Pretty awesome. So Intune is the like client management system for both all devices, I should say, because it works on mobile too. That is awesome. Congratulations. I'm sure that was a huge undertaking. I've always wondered like what that's like, and in my head it's like, oh, do you just spin up Azure AD in the cloud? Do you then federate with the cloud and then you synchronize everything and then you shut it down? I don't know. I'm just making this stuff up, but it sounds like a huge undertaking. Sounds like it went okay, or you might not be mentioning it. So, hey, congratulations, Mike. That is awesome. App registration time. Woot woot. I'm not sure what the app registration is. Send smoke signals next time. All right, Trevor. I've been cranking netcool rules out like there's no tomorrow. That is awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. I need to look more into netcool. I know you talk about it a lot. It sounds awesome. Yeah, awesome. I'm curious what some of your rules are like. Man, it's so weird just having dead silence with no background music. I'm so used to like some background music playing, and if I even touch it, I just don't even want to breathe on it right now. It's at that point. Takano, yeah. I'm still this is temporary. This is temporary only because my monitor's in the way. I need to boost this up a little bit, and then I can slide it. Where I want to be eventually is have my camera so I could move it anywhere. Basically a track between my 2 cameras so I could put it anywhere. I know that I said I was going to hopefully solve this. See that? There's not an earthquake. That's because everything's attached to this desk. I halfway through the week, I thought, that sounds like V2 to me. Like I'm trying to do the MVP, which is pretty big for my redo of my office. I was like, I'm not going to mix in, bars on the ceiling to get rid of camera wobble until later. So I kind of had to, I hated to do it, but I had to go agile on it pretty much. Oh yeah. But I've been, this whole week, when I share it, you'll see. I mean, I had the biggest rat's nest of wires ever. And my dogs are like, where do we even sit? Anyways, I'm still working temporary. Let's see, Mike. Anyone running IP KVMs? I'm considering deploying tiny KVM to remote offices without IT people on site. I am me. Well, I'm running Pi KVM, so I have a Pi KVM V3. I ended up hooking it up to like an EasyCoo switch, which works fantastic. So I was able to get 4 devices managed because Pi KVM out of the box is 1-to-1. Unless you expand it with a KVM switch that supports communication over one of the ports. And I run it. It runs great. It runs fantastic. My Pi KVM 3 connected to 3 devices it could support. No, 4. I have it maxed out now to 4. It's great. It's great. So yeah, it works. I've been testing with his TE Smart, and I never figured that out. TE Smart says should work. PiKVM says it shouldn't work, and I'm with PiKVM and their developer saying it shouldn't work and it doesn't work. And so I haven't totally figured that out yet. I shouldn't say that. It doesn't work in all scenarios, specifically my use case. I do have a PiKVM 4. It's right there. I just haven't had time to even look at it or do anything. And I would love some more time to do it and test. And PiKVM 4 comes in 2 variants. There's a mini, and then there's the plus. And the mini is technically 1-to-1 because it's truly 1-to-1 because it doesn't have any additional ports to do any communication. And the plus has it has more ports to do more communication. Anyways, all that being said, it works great. It works great. I have 0 problems. The only challenge you're going to have is power cycling these remotely. So if you have a smart PDU at these remote places, great. You've solved it. Because you're saying you need to remote into machines without humans, and what happens if that machine hangs, or you need to update BIOS or get in the BIOS or do anything like that. You're going to have to solve the remote toggling of power, which I did with a unified PDU, and it works great. It works great. So you'll need a smart PDU. Other than that, yeah, it is awesome. It is awesome. Noise Marine. I just picked up 4 R620s and 1 HP DL380E Gen 9. Wow, you got some horsepower there. you got a lot going on. Oh, that sounds like a fun weekend. That actually sounds like a fun month, I would say, of setting stuff up and getting it going. That is awesome. I would love to know more about it. What you plan on running on there? Did you get a good deal? I assume you did, or you wouldn't have gotten that many. But what do you plan on running? That's a lot of compute for R620s. I'm guessing, if I could guess, 3 Proxmox servers, NHA, and the DL380 Gen 9 is for TrueNAS, and the third R620 is a hot spare. I don't know, a cold spare. I don't know, just trying to guess. But sounds awesome. Disparator, it's the new Samsung G9 Neo 57-inch craziness. It is craziness. It's pretty awesome. Actually does 240 hertz. And it is bonkers. It is definitely bonkers. It looks so good on Windows. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, it's awesome. Maybe I'll do a walkthrough of like all the upgrades I did in my studio. Once I get things working perfectly, which may or may not ever happen, which is kind of scary because I depend on this to make YouTube stuff and do Twitch. So kind of scary. But at the same time, it's I look at this stuff like tools, and it's time for a tool upgrade. I haven't upgraded any of my tools in a long time, so I upgraded them all. Sorry, I use Raritan. I don't know Raritan. I don't know what Raritan is. Oh, I'm clicking. Getting too click happy. Let's see. Yakto, hey, got my new Sliger 3U case with 6x Xeon scalable CPUs. Got 5 servers to build today. Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds sweet. You got your weekend full and probably more and then some. So Sliger 3U case, awesome. 6 Xeon scalable CPUs and 5 servers to build. That is so much. That is so much work. It sounds fun. Like, don't get me wrong, that sounds fun. The part that I'm kind of like, like it sounds fun taking them out, unboxing them, putting them together, getting the OS on it. As soon as it comes to everything after racking, like, oh, I got to do cables now and stuff like that, I'm kind of like, Like I have a decent system for cabling, but I'm just so burnt out. Maybe it's just the state of the state with me. Like this whole week, that's all I've been doing is cabling. I'm burnt out on it. But hey, I'm happy for you. Let me know how you like the Sliger case. I have one sitting right over there. I've had it sitting for probably I'd say about 4 or 5 months. They hooked me up a while back, and I'm doing my Windows Linux build in it here soon, because I wanted a rack mountable desktop that still has AIO or water cooling, and they're one of the few that can do it. So I'm excited, and fit a 3090 in there. So it's gonna be wild, but awesome at the same time. CBN sandwich. I've been battling a 12K long open API spec for the last 3 days. Starting to look like it'll be okay. Oh my gosh. 12, I assume you mean 12 kilobytes long or 12,000 lines long? Either way, that is a lot of stuff. Does not sound fun. Open API spec. So yeah, open API spec is it's like a Swagger spec, pretty much. I think either Swagger created it or Swagger adopted it, but awesome. It sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. You're writing it in the open API spec. Does not sound awesome to actually you. I don't know, to write it. Sounds like a lot of work. But the cool thing is once you write in that spec, then you get Swagger, then you get documentation, then you get transcoding. Other transcoding, you get an easy way to migrate it to different code bases and stuff. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of open API spec stuff. So, pretty awesome. Hey, yeah, Hell Galax and Mike, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Thank you so much. Let's see. Bill Mayer. I'm thinking about rebuilding my cluster with Sidero and Talos. Any thoughts or experience with them? Hey, Bill. So experience, no. Thoughts, yeah. I mean, so Talos, it's an OS or a distribution of it's an OS, right? An OS and a Linux, Kubernetes distribution in one. So they're basically packaging it up and saying, hey, like instead of installing Kubernetes, use our OS that's purpose built that will give you Kubernetes, and it's immutable too. So that hey, if you need to, you don't patch individual things or change individual things. I mean, that's the purest way. You just upgrade the distribution and you get everything. You get new Kubernetes, you get new patches, new OS, and everything like that. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I don't have any thoughts. If I was building, if I was going to build a high security, very locked down, and environment. Where I needed something like that, absolutely. I would go with an OS an OS distribution that ships with Kubernetes. Similar to like clouds. Clouds do that. Google Cloud has their own, AWS, Azure. They all do this very similar thing. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're up for the challenge and you want to do some next level stuff, I go for it. Because then you get out of the business of at least patching those OSs. You patch them differently. Patching Kubernetes or whatever's installed on them. And then you take a more rigid approach to what gets installed on there anyways. And a purist would say nothing else. As far as dependencies goes, it would just be Kubernetes itself. So I mean, those are my thoughts. I think it's awesome. I haven't done it. But if you're getting bored with the current way of doing stuff and maybe you're running Ubuntu or Debian, with K3S on top of that and just managing both is becoming more more headache than it's worth from a patch and upgrading standpoint. Yeah, it might be worth it. I tried something similar a long time ago, like Rancher had Rancher OS and it shipped with Rancher. I mean, for me at that time, it was hard. We're talking 3-4 years ago, and it was a whole entire OS and you had to bootstrap it with Cloud init and stuff and YAML. And this is before I started getting into it. I was like, this is way much to take on. This is way too much to take on. I got to learn about Cloud init. I got to learn how to mount this YAML to a immutable distribution. It was a lot to take on, but you sound like you know what you're doing. And I know what you know what you're doing. So anyways, I go for it. But maybe build your test cluster first. 12K lines. All right, 12Ks. I was going to say, hey, 12 kilobytes is still a lot of text. So Trevor, the idea is to have a station for end users to plug in a laptop so I can remotely manage the computer's BIOS and reinstall Windows. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. So, yes, you can do all that. Like I said, the only challenge you're going to have is what happens if that machine locks up, or what happens if you need to do a hard reset on that machine, like power-wise. You'll still be able to flash the firmware if you use PyKVM. That's some tall text. I got to work on that too. Note to self: shrink the text down on a big window. Need to see over it. But it'll still work. Still work fine. You're just going to reboot it. You're going to have to mash F2 or whatever it is to get in the BIOS. Any one of the 15 keys that manufacturers haven't standardized on yet. and you'll get in the BIOS, you update the BIOS, and you're done. So yeah, that should be fine. Like I was saying, the power thing, maybe I'm overthinking it because when you say like, hey, there's no end users at all, I'm thinking like it's in the middle of the desert or it's in a data center, right? Where you don't have someone that you could say, hey, could you just pull the power real quick on this PC and plug it back in. Another tip too is if there's a BIOS option that supports powering on after a power surge, I would always turn that to on, especially on a remote machine. Is just say, and don't say last state, because last state I think can get you into some trouble sometimes too. There's a few edge cases where last state was powered off, even though it was really powered on. Depending on if the power was off last time and it was a double power off. So, anyways, or a double power loss. I would make sure the BIOS says, hey, always power on after power loss, and in worst case scenario, it boots up for, I don't know, 5 minutes and then goes to sleep like it should. So, I would say get one to test out before you go, scale it out to all these machines. Get one to test it out. It's pretty fun. Or build one. You can build them too. G. Feldman found that my parents, not a parent, that's apartment. Found that my apartment is wired for Cat5e, but cables just weren't terminated and hidden. Wasted so much time on Wi-Fi issues. Oh yeah, that stinks. That stinks. So you must have like saw that there was like a faceplate there, or maybe or it had a cover on there, and you didn't realize that, hey, if I just open up that cover and look inside of there, there's actually some Cat5e that I could use, and then terminate yourself. Yeah, that stinks. Well, glad you have that option. I finally, as part of my wiring foray, the last 5 days in this room, I actually finally ran some wire over to the TV, and then have a mini switch back there, a Unify Flex switch, and then now my TV and everything that's connected to it is hooked up through wired. It's wired, and it's so much better. I mean, I get it. Wireless can do a lot of great things, but at the same time, I feel like if I can wire, I will wire it. That's kind of my my MO lately. If I don't have to put holes in the wall and it just takes some time, yeah, I'm definitely going to wire it. My wife's entire office is 100% wireless though. So I need to do that sometime, but that's actually going to take some time. And part of the reason why I haven't done it is because where her office is in location to everything else, and it's it's hard to get to, and I also have to put holes in the wall. So I'm kind of dragging my feet on that. Hey, Ion Upheaval. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Takano. I've been making a website for an honors student project with one of my classes. Just talking all the CSS and HTML. Oh man, you crazy. Yeah. So will that work? Sure. But you're going to get to a point where you're going to need some kind of framework to do stuff. You said raw dogging the HTML and CSS. I assume that also means the JavaScript too, which once you start building, applications that are more than a couple of pages, and need some state to persist and client-side routing and forms and all that stuff, you're going to have to, I would start to look at something like, Vue or React, preferably, or Angular, I guess, or that doesn't exist anymore. Who knows? But yeah, I would start to look at some sort of framework to help you out. The nice part is about using a framework too, like Vue or React is, so there's millions of people using it. So you have a lot of examples, and there are a lot of bootstrapping repos out there too that'll give you a lot of what you want, especially with React. Even just the Create React app or Next.js is built on top of React with a lot of stuff. I mean, if you just go to Next.js, look at that project, you download the tooling, and you just start the project with Node, you got like 90% of what you need as far as code architecture and really good patterns and really good performance. And the rest is then you to start writing and doing. But I get it. That's like, hey, do I build this website or do I set aside 2 months of my life to really kind of learn React as I go? And so I get it. But anyways, that is awesome. That all that aside, sorry, I'm like going into like software architecture stuff, and you're just trying to tell me you're excited about building this honor student project, and I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. Totally fine. It's your project. You got to maintain it. At the end of the day, if it runs and it works, and people who go to it appreciate it, hey, it doesn't matter what the code behind is. I mean, I can't remember. I have. But I can't remember the last time someone else, looked at the code behind Amazon.com and was like, I can't believe they write all of this HTML and return pages instead of using some kind of framework. Because yeah, they don't in most cases. It doesn't matter. It's the value you're delivering, and if you're delivering value and people are happy with it, who cares about the code behind? Because at the end of the day, it all gets transpiled down to some, I don't know, minified stuff. Anyways, awesome, man. Glad to hear it. Are you going to terminate the Cat 5e? I think he is. I think he is. I have Cat 5e in my whole entire house because it was super cheap when I did it, and I thought, yeah, gigabit's good enough. Now I'm like, I wish I would have done Cat 6a. I wish I would have. It would have cost like 10x, but at the same time, 10x of the price 8 years ago is nothing compared to what it is now. So yeah. Techno, I was told that I could use Wix or Google sites, but what's the fun in that? Oh, yeah, I totally agree. So I get it. You're writing your own website versus using a CMS system to then you're basically, writing the code yourself versus using a CMS or a WYSIWYG editor. Yeah, I totally agree. What's the fun in that? I agree. Even if you're not using React and stuff, yeah. Why not just use Hugo Static? There's that too. With Hugo Static, it's pretty fun. I use Hugo and Jekyll for a couple of my sites. But once you start getting into like interactive sites, that's where those kind of fall down. I think he said he was building a presentation site. I don't know if he's going to have forums or anything like that. But once you start getting into interactive site, that's where Hugo and Jekyll kind of fall down because they're meant for static pages. Very little interaction besides maybe some client-side searching, maybe some navigation, but as for the most part, pretty static. Yeah, that is true, Chicano. That is a good point, and that's kind of what I was thinking in my head too. With if you went with Hugo, you're just kind of trading. You're writing Markdown, so you got to learn Markdown. And then you're figuring out your build and deploy process, which isn't always fun. And then you're learning how to build static sites with Hugo or Jekyll, how to deploy them, and how to write Markdown. But you're not learning HTML and CSS. So I mean, granted, there are includes and weird stuff you can do in Hugo and Jekyll to include custom code. But for the most part, people are just using it as a CMS, but not really. Let's see, got some jacks from Micro Center. All right. Speaking of, I need to make a trip there soon. What other systems should I try to get Alarm into Netcool? How about trying Tanzu Kubernetes Grid to Alarm into Netcool? Yeah, that sounds good. I don't know what systems you're using. I can recommend a whole bunch of systems, but I don't know if you're using. Simple website monitoring for me is bread and butter of what I do. Is it up or not? Is it alive or not? And then there are some things I monitor too with like individual services or nodes. But yeah, that is the bread and butter. Let's see, Takana, right now I'm having some issues with the responsiveness of the site. Chrome is just parsing CMS different than Firefox. Yeah, that you'll run into that. Hey, welcome to web development, where there are no standards and browser. Well, let me take that back. Welcome to web development, where there are standards. However, it's up to each browser to implement that standard. That's how it works. It's how Internet Explorer got the way that it was. That's how, now there are differences in Chrome and Firefox. And that is definitely, how Safari is the new IE. So, oh, yeah. Again, like to go back to frameworks, there's a lot of CSS stuff that can help you out there too, that does all the cross-browser stuff so that you don't have to worry about how to implement, a grid yourself. And if you do a grid, you're not using just the native grid. You'd use, a CSS library that has a grid that works with all browsers, and they've figured out all those differences. Simple stuff, even like Tailwind CSS. If you just want a CSS library, with something simple like Tailwind, just add Tailwind CSS and then use all their margin padding, everything. Your site will look really, really good with very little effort. Very little effort. You'll tweak less for sure. G. Feldman, now my K3S control plane of Nux are in my office and the rack is in the closet. Awesome. So K3S control plane of Nux are in my office and the rack is in the closet. That's awesome. So I assume you moved your control plane, your product control plane, and probably API too. You moved those roles off your server rack, and now they're on Nux. That is awesome. Nux are great for that. Nux are arguably even great for your workloads too, for all your agents and your servers. Well, not your servers, as you say, they are great for your servers, but they are pretty powerful. I'm still impressed. Shut down my one-use servers about 2 months ago. Thought I'd try letting my Nux handle the workload. So far, haven't turned it back on. So need to find some new work for that. Trevor, I also built out various IP SLAs to monitor portions of the network using UDP Echo and UDP Jitter on port 4985 from the various loopbacks of the public side of the internet. That sounds pretty wild to monitor jitter. I don't know what port 4985 is. I don't know. I'm something special. Simon and Garfunkel are rolling in their graves. Oh yeah, I'm sorry it was. Yeah, they are, Yocto. It was not Pink Floyd. That's what the reference is. I lose my classic rock card now, don't I? What are you using for DNS these days? By9. Honestly, I use Pi-hole still for DNS. I kind of have a tiered approach to DNS. I mean, in Kubernetes, in cluster, I use core DNS there, so that's in cluster. Outside, no, I'm using Pi-hole still because it's fantastic. I have 3 Pi-hole servers. They all sync. It's been working great. I'd love a little more automation around it. I know By9 could help there. And then be able to use Pi-hole upstream from there to get the blocking. But I wasn't sure how far I wanted to go on down the DNS rabbit hole at home. So I stopped at Pi-hole and I made them, I don't want to say HA, but I gave them ways to sync across each other and a little bit of failover with Keep Alive D. So it's kind of where I'm at, but it sounds awesome. I just haven't gone down the route of By9. I'm like, ooh. Oh yeah, I ordered my 45 drives HL15 today. Party, yeah, nice. Bill Mayer, awesome. It's coming very soon. It's coming very soon. I have one on the way. Doesn't mean it's in the mail. I don't know when. But later this year, I will also be getting one, so I can do a full review and do some more awesome stuff with another 45 drive system. So I'm looking forward to it. I am too. I bet you're excited. I know a lot of people are excited. I'm excited too. Sure. Also, I've been getting Netbox to replace the PHP IPAM, or maybe I could throw a PHP IPAM into Kate's. Yeah, you could. You could. Yeah, I mean, Kate's is, where you host it isn't as important as what you use. So yeah, if you like PHP IPAM, yeah, it's definitely I haven't looked at it in a while. I know what it does, but sounds like a good candidate for Kubernetes. I think anything is a good candidate for Kubernetes. And still, until you start getting into super high performance, low level networking type things, But yeah, I agree, Mike. I started using PRTG Net Monitor for packet loss and jitter test for LAN and WAN. Really nice. I don't know anything about it. I got to look into this too. So many things I got to look into. Nice. I use various tools that I see at work, mainly Netcool for aggregating my alarms from various devices in the network. Yeah, it does sound cool. I haven't tried Netcool. I use a lot of Prometheus. It sounds like Prometheus. Prometheus is to Kubernetes monitoring alerting as Netcool is to network monitoring alerting. And I got to talk up here because this is a big message. It's all right. Right now, I've managed to host and externally expose a game server for my virtual tabletop software to play my D&D games. That is awesome. That is awesome. Right now, right now, I'm working on creating users groups for my PvE server. Containers aren't running. Everything is root. Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. So that is cool. So one, you created a game server for your D&D games. That is awesome. So just creating the game in itself is awesome. And then on top of that, you're containerizing it, and you want to put it in, in a container so it can run. Again, awesome. And then making sure things aren't running as root, very awesome and very important. Yeah, that is important. Hopefully it's an easy solve. Usually in what I do, usually in one of your last few steps in your build process, when you build that image, is just create a user and then give that user no permissions, and then set that as the default user and remove the root or anything else. And that's usually pretty good. But depending on what, then depending on your dependencies, yeah, it just depends. I hope you figured it out. That sounds like such an awesome project. It sounds cool. Doing it end to end, not only from game dev all the way down to DevOps, sounds awesome. I'm fairly new to my career, Mike, but I'm basically the only IT person at my company. So figuring out everything myself, quite fun. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword because, as you're probably learning, yes, I have the freedom to make choices and to implement the architecture I want and to make things work the way I want. But then it's oh crap. I have too many choices and I'm not sure if this is the architecture that should be used or that I want. So yeah, it's tough. It's great to have at least one more person there to bounce ideas off of, to say, just kind of a sanity check or a litmus test to say, does this sound right? Or am I like in the weeds, and it's good to have at least one more person there, who has some experiences too. Or even if they don't, even if they have zero experience with what you're doing, you trying to explain something to someone who knows nothing about it is also a good way to kind of, do a little gut check. Because if you can explain it in a way that makes sense to someone who has no idea what you're talking about, it might be a pretty solid thing. Or you might just talk yourself out of it as you're explaining to someone else. So yeah, I'd find a tech buddy at work, even if they're not in IT, and just bounce some ideas off them. Hey, here's kind of what I'm thinking. Here's what I want to do. You'd be surprised how many people that are not in tech would still be able to give some very, very, great advice or ask the right questions to help you get on the right track. So yeah. But again, it's tough. It's tough when you don't have people there to help you out too, to bounce ideas off of. Absolute best way to learn in your own environment. I totally agree. It's great to learn in your own environment. But at the same time, like you might be, you just want to make sure that you're implementing things that are sustainable, are supportable, because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to sustain and support the thing. So, and cost too. Did a year at a small business MSP. We'll never go back, LL. All right, so you got plenty of experience in this stuff. If you work for an MSP, you're used to, supporting lots of random things, custom, solutions, helping people. So you got this. But yeah, if not, join the Discord, and I'm sure a lot of people give a lot of great advice. It's my plug. I just shut down the gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0/3 on something. I'm sure now there's an alarm in NetCool for that. Yeah, you should definitely monitor that stuff. Yeah, you've got great exposure at the MSP. I totally agree. I didn't see that comment coming afterwards. I thought it was just like, hey, I'm new to IT. Like, let's do this. No, that's tough. Oh yeah, so much knowledge to absorb. We've got 150 employees now, but we're nearly doubling down every year. So lots of growth. This is awesome. Yeah. So you're running MSP, it looks like. Oh, this is awesome. You got this. That's what I was saying too. You got this. Hence why I immediately moved us to Intune after being hired. Yeah, that is true. That is true because, like managing infrastructure for that stuff is a career in itself. It's a career in itself, and it takes multiple people. And so, like, I mean, that's an argument with a lot of SaaS-based stuff, or even PaaS stuff, or IaaS, you name it. At some point, it's more cost-effective and more dependable to let someone else manage it who, that ends up being their job or multiple people's job or hundreds of people's job. So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough choice. I bet it's a tough choice. Good day. Hey, Tim, I'm trying to automate fFirst certificate updates via Ansible. Wow, what a journey and a learning curve. Ended up blending PowerShell with Ansible. fFirst really does need an API to make simple changes. Simple. Yeah, it is tough. It's I'd say it's pretty verbose. But I don't know. I've never tried to automate certificate changes. I'm sure it's challenging. But yeah, Ansible. Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot you got to get going to actually even get started. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But glad you got it going. That is pretty awesome. I can't imagine like trying to automate, cert rotation. I've always used, certbot under the covers or anything else that helps me do it. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. 1000R equals 1,000 millimeter radius equals 39-inch radius. All right. Yeah. When we were talking about my 1000R curve, where I was like, I have no idea what a 1000R curve, but hey, that's what it is. It's definitely different. IO fault. Let me grab a drink because I'm yelling. Let's see. IO fault says, how does snapping windows work or managing inputs on an ultra wide in Windows? Yeah, good question. Something I didn't know either. This is a great question. I like being able to easily snap windows on my monitor, my triple monitor setup. Yeah, so imagine it works just like it would if you had one. So just because you have an ultra wide doesn't mean that like there's some magical, now these hidden sections and these frames. There's not. Yeah, just imagine you have one big monitor. So Windows Snap is going to do the same thing. Snap left half, snap right half, snap up half, snap bottom half. And then if you hover and, drag it up to the tool, you have all those additional snaps. Or you can use Power Toys to have a lot more refinement over where those windows go, how big they are. And Power Toys will help you out a lot there. I did a video on it and even talked through like their tool for, I would say advanced level snapping. And that was something I wondered too. I wondered like when people at ultra wide, I'm like, do these monitors have like, hidden sections? And like, so, what if I want to divide it up in 4? No, it's 100% software. You can use any tool you want. Mac OS, I use Rectangle, not the greatest, but it works. And Windows, I'm still using, just the built-in Windows Snap feature. It's pretty okay. It's pretty okay, but I think I might use the Power Toys version of their window management system because, not only do I have an ultra wide, I also have a 4K up there, and I want very specific things up there. And I want my 4K ultra wide actually divided up in quarters or thirds. Windows does thirds pretty good. You take a screen, you drag it up to the top on Windows 11. You'll see your different options. But it does thirds pretty good, does quarters pretty good. But it does quarters and quadrants, so it doesn't do a vertical quad. I'm like, come on, Windows, like, give me some more options. I wish they would expand that infinitely, or bake their Power Toy stuff into Windows 11 or Windows 12, whatever's next, and give me some more options because a lot of people have a lot of needs for monitors, even if you have one. Even if you have one monitor, you still want to divide it up or side by side. Sometimes you need more than side by side. So anyways, can you easily snap? You're doing the same keyboard commands. I had 3 monitors set up. You're saying, hey, one full screen here, one full screen here, one divided in half here, or 2 divided in half vertically, 1 divided into quarters, or quadrants, and go from there. You're still using the same tools. It's just one big one. That's over 10 million pixels. It's a lot of pixels. It's a lot of pixels. It definitely is. Just logged into Netcool and I had many alarms there. I bet you did. For sure. Good day. Maybe check with OpenSense docs. They have an API you can work with. Yeah, that's a good point too. Is maybe instead of pfSense, OpenSense does have an API. My dog's barking. He is not happy about UPS person. You can almost import pfSense backup in OpenSense, and it should be easily enough if needed. Yeah, that's true too. Hey, real quick, the CAD, Canab. Hey, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. That's a tough one to sound out. CBG. Yeah, I don't know if that was just typing at the end or that's really something. Amateur Wizard, nice, same here. Going down from 3 4K monitors to 2 monitors felt great. There's so much. There is a thing as too much. Yeah, I didn't have 3 4K. I had 3 1440p, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. But for me, it wasn't the screen real estate was too much. It was more just like the cords were too much. So yeah. Hey, man, I'm gonna scroll through these really quick. I know there's a lot of chat, and I want to make sure that I don't skip anything that you might have a question about. But I do want to make sure I address anything. Oh, this one doesn't have something I was used to seeing, but okay. Okay. I'll do this one really quick. Wow, that was so tall it chopped off. Yeah, see, I need CSS. Takano, could use some CSS here. Need some responsive on that. And I need to shrink the font size when this happens. But anyways, DGD Gabagi, have you been looking into antivirus solutions? Today I came across Wooza, and I think I'll set it up for myself sooner or later, especially since I just canceled my subscription with my current provider for the horrible service and coming update of their password manager I won't tolerate. No, I mean, to be honest, I use Windows Defender. I haven't found anything. One, okay. So let me reel this back. A couple of things. Like, okay, the first way to prevent, the types of malware and viruses that you get is good surfing habits. I know this is going to sound weird, and I'm going to move this for a second, but good surfing habits. All right, if you have decent or okay surfing habits, sure, you're going to be pretty okay. And that, my camera's now over. Oh, goodness. All right, camera, it's lights out. Lights out. Camera said, I'm too hot. That was a great way to just kind of, I don't know. There it goes. Okay, note to self, camera overheats. And I get a loud noise. Yeah, dark mode. All right, thank you for turning off the lights. Yeah, cameras are overheating. Focus is not working the greatest. There it is. Yeah, all right, thanks. That is one way to keep the heat down, turn off the lights. Thank you. So anyways, good surfing habits are going to get you in a good spot. Then what happens when things go wrong? You click on a virus. I go Windows Defender. Like Windows Defender on Windows is great. It works fantastic. I think it's working and blocking stuff because it does not nag me, nor does it ever say it found anything. I mean, this is kind of where it's like, is no news good news? They had a lot of AV in general had a ton of criticism, 10 years ago because it would nag you all the time. And then everyone reeled it back to say, hey, we're only going to tell you when things go wrong, which I think is a great approach, or only when it needs your attention, which I think is the best approach. But at the same time, are they detecting anything? And so I don't know. I go with Windows. If I'm running Windows, I trust Microsoft to understand their operating system, all the exploits, all the things that could go wrong, all the ransomware they see. I mean, they're running and managing probably 1 billion PCs with AV on it, and so I think they have a decent okay grip on it. Not saying like, hey, they're the greatest security suite out there. There are probably some better ones, but it's free. It's built into Windows. It stays out of the way. It's lightweight, and so that noise is pretty loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that noise, but that is loud. Camera's gonna overheat. Anyways, all that being said, your question was, let's highlight it again. Huzzah! So huzzah, however you pronounce it. I thought that was more like network monitoring for antivirus or network monitoring for threats. Could be wrong. I haven't looked at it in depth. I know Network Check did something on it, but I thought that was more network monitoring. And so that's I don't think that's the case. I don't think so. If it is networking monitoring, like IPS, IDS, and monitoring your connections. Oh, that's so loud in my ears. I deserve it. I don't think that that's a good replacement for antivirus. I mean, because it's just another tool in your toolbox to know, what's going out. That is so loud in my ears. Note to self, fix that sound, whatever it is. Anyways, long story short, I think you need some endpoint security on there. I think Defender's pretty good. home, if you're trying to manage it at scale, that's a different beast. I'm sure Microsoft offers something to do it at scale too, or to manage them. Sure, it comes along with AD and Azure AD, and probably mixing a little Intune there to manage that. And then if you're looking for IDS or IPS or network type protection, yeah. Oh, let me see. All right. Here we go. What is Waza? Waza operates a security platform offering both extended definition and open source unified XDR security information through event management. Yep. SEIM functionalities for along with data analysis. Yep. Oh, so it'll protect endpoints as well as cloud workloads. Okay, so it provides an endpoint security agent, Waza agent, a multi-platform component which runs on the endpoints you want to monitor. The agent provides prevention, detection, and response capabilities. Yeah, so maybe. Yeah. I mean, when it says, response capabilities, I mean, does it actually take action then? I get it. They say prevention, detection, but does it actually take action where an antivirus will actually, contain that threat, destroy that threat, stop that threat from working? So, yeah, I don't know enough about it. I will say though that, I'm pretty okay with Defender for now. And I know that, Waza. I know that it looks like they're, doing more, and they provide SEIM, so that's cool. But other than that, yeah, at home for me, I'm still gonna stick to Defender. So, but yeah, okay. Hey, so we went way over today. I'm trying to make up for the little mishap in the beginning. I do apologize. I'm gonna set up a test account and test stream to Twitch before the next stream because I got to figure out this audio. Either that or go back to my Go XLR and Windows and stuff. But I am building my new Windows machine coming here soon. So, anyways, this stream was 100% powered by Apple Silicon. Like it or love it, it actually kind of worked okay outside of the microphone. So, sorry, outside of my Wave XLR. But anyways, Apple Silicon, yeah. See, yeah, it's nice and cool. Fan hasn't even turned on once yet. Anyways, hey y'all. Thank you so much for staying with me through that rough beginning. I appreciate you being here. If you want to chat more about tech, about Waza, or anything else, we have a Discord server where these topics are talked about. We have a security channel where we talk about these types of things, and I'd love for you to join. It's as simple as doing !Discord or going to discord.gg/technotim or just Googling TechnoTim Discord. I'd love for you to join. There are so many people in our Discord server. I think we have around 9,000 people. And like almost on a weekly basis, someone is saying, I'm so glad I joined this Discord server because there is so much here to learn. And there's so many nice people. I'm not saying that. I'm one day I'm going to start putting these testimonies somewhere because other people are saying it. And that's just not a trick for me to get you to join the Discord server. I say this at least once a month. I got so lucky somehow. All of the nicest, most knowledgeable, helpful people join my Discord, and I'm super duper lucky. I just said that same thing in Discord this morning because someone else was saying, hey, I'm so glad I joined. And I would love for you to join. Even if you don't post, hey, it's totally fine. There's so much to learn. We got channels for almost every topic. And we also, for some reason, in our food channel, post really weird pictures of food. I don't know how it turned that way, but it's pretty funny. Anyways, I'd love for you to join. If not, you'd hit me up on Twitter or X, whatever you call it now, or here on Twitch or somewhere. Mastodon, you name it. I'm everywhere. So I would love for you to reach out if you have more questions. If I didn't get to your question today, post it in Discord. And if it needs my attention or needs me specifically, yeah, feel free to tag me. But I guarantee there's going to be someone there with a better and faster answer than me. So, but I'm more than happy to help as I can in Discord. So, yeah. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great Saturday. And yeah, be good to each other. I'll figure this audio out, and we're just gonna have a very silent outro. Have a happy Saturday. Be good to each other. Take care, folks.